Just here today to talk about um, Martin Luther King Jr. and Malcolm X and what they possibly would have said based on quotes and articles about them, about what's been going on today with violence and riots. So first off, was anyone able to read any of the documents or resources that I sent out? Just give me a thumbs up if you are able to read any of them. And let me know who you are in here, please, too, so I can give you credit for being here. So if you're in here, write your name. Also, so comment, hey, Ivana, and comment if you read any of the resources. Hey, Colby. So if you're just coming in, read the comments. I want you to tell me your name if you're in here, and then also if you read any of the resources that I posted in Canvas. Okay, cool, Majida. I know you've been busy with your speech. So you looked at them. Were you able to kind of, so if you did look at the resources, were you able to figure out if they would or would not support riots? I'm really sorry for how I look. Like, this is just pregnancy for me at this point. I'm not really trying. Sorry. So Kobe or Ivana, were you able to look at the resources that I put up, or is it just Majida? Okay, so MLK would not support riots, and Malcolm X would support riots. So yes, you were able to look at them. Cool. So what do you think? Do you think that MLK would or would not support rioting? And then what would Malcolm X say about it? Who would? You think both of them would? Basically, I'm sure if you have any kind of social media, you've seen riot is the language of the unheard. This is a quote by MLK Jr. When he says a riot is the language of the unheard, is he supporting riots? Let me know what you think. Is he supporting riots when he's saying a riot is the language of the unheard? Is he just stating a fact? Is he agreeing with riots? or is he disagreeing with them based on other information you've heard about Martin Luther King Jr.? It might be something from the anchor chart that I made last week or the week before. Could be anything just based on what you already know about Martin Luther King Jr. Do you think that quote actually says that he supports riots? He's stating a fact. Okay. Anyone else agree with Majida that he's stating a fact, or that he that quote states that means he supports riots? Ivana, what do you think? Do you think that quote means that he supports riots? You agree with riots, or you think that, or you agree with Majida? Colby. Okay, so I'm trying to give wait time, but I want to make sure that I'm not in this live for too long because it's a beautiful day and I'm not trying to keep you guys. You agree with Majida? Okay, cool. Basically, I just want to give you guys some information so that you can successfully write the CER that I asked you to write in Canvas. In Canvas, it is asking you the question is, would Malcolm X and Martin Luther King Jr. agree with riots today? How might they handle the situations differently than one another? Those are the two questions that I've specifically asked you about the two people. So after this live, I'm going to take a picture of a document that I've come up with that kind of gives relevant information from all of the resources that I put up on Canvas. I kind of just basically did the research for you and put it into a chart since I didn't start doing Zoom lessons. Hey, Lamaya. Wow, it's been forever. So since I didn't start doing Zoom calls with you, I'm not going to do that. We have how many days do we have left? Like 7 school days left. So basically we have this CER and then like one more discussion post in this Canvas course. So basically I'm giving you the information in a chart instead of creating the chart with you through the resources on a Zoom call. Next year, make sure in high school, if we do continue with distance learning, that you become very familiar with Zoom calls, because you probably will be doing more Zoom calls with your teachers next year if we continue to socially distance. Okay, so basically, we're talking about Martin Luther King Jr. and Malcolm X. Would they agree with riots today? So far, we already have Martin Luther King Jr. We don't think he would agree with riots, even though he came up with a quote, or he's been quoted, "A riot is the language of the unheard." He's not necessarily supporting riots when he says that, is what Majida and Kobe have said. So that's what we've gotten to so far. Why do you think Malcolm X supported riots? What makes you think that he would support riots based on what you already know about him? So that's the second question I'm asking. Malcolm X, why do you think he would or would not support riots? So what are your ideas on that? I know, I'm sure you've seen a lot of Martin Luther King Jr. quotes and articles and things all over Facebook, if you have a Facebook. And I'm sure you've seen Malcolm X stuff everywhere as well. A lot of people are trying to justify things that they're doing through things that Martin Luther King did or did not do. Hey, D'Amico, and things that Malcolm X did or did not do. So D'Amico, since you're just coming in, or you've been in here and you've been silent, Do you think that Malcolm X would or would not support riots? Would he support riots? Yes or no? So this is the question we're asking. Would they agree with the riots today? Based on what we know about them. He would support? Okay. Why do you think that? Were you able to look at the resources and that's where you're getting your information from, D'Amico? Or you just think that because of something you've heard from him from prior? I would, if I were a student, I would think that Malcolm X supports riots because he is quoted saying by any means necessary. That's why I would, like, if I were a student, I'd just be like, well, I know he says by any means necessary. That's what he's known for, by any means necessary. So if he's saying by any means necessary, that means that if it's necessary to have a riot, then got to do it. He thought violence would solve anything. Okay, so I want you to just rewind a little bit with that pathway of thought, because I wouldn't say that he thought violence would solve everything. He wasn't anti-violence like Martin Luther King Jr., but he wasn't like, oh wow, pro-violence, we've got to like kill everybody. Like he wasn't like an extremely violent person, because he was still a religious Muslim man. So I wouldn't necessarily go that far, but I would say, which you'll get this when I send out all of this information. He advocated only for self-defense. So Malcolm X is advocating for self-defense. So when you're peacefully protesting, which almost all of the protests, if not all of the protests in the United States, have started out peaceful. When they get destructive or they turn into a riot, what is the reason why? Do people just start getting angry? What is the reason why? Okay, I gotta get the door for a second. Sorry about that. He basically wanted to fight back where MLK wanted to stand down. Stand down? Would you say that he stood down though? Because he was constantly fighting until the end, just not fighting with his fists, he's fighting with his words. So I wouldn't say he stood down. I just, like, self-defense. What do you consider self-defense? Malcolm X advocated for self-defense. What is considered self-defense? How would you defend yourself personally? And why are protesters today having to resort to defending themselves? Who's bothering them? Who's agitating them? Who's not allowing them to have their voice heard? Why do peaceful protests turn into riots? So these are questions you need to be asking yourself. in order to really inspire yourself to write this next CER, because it is about current events, but you're writing the current events based on information from people in the past. So again, I'm asking you, what would MLK Jr. do versus what Malcolm X would do to lead? What kind of leadership style would they have in today's protests? So basically talking about, would they riot or would they not riot? What leads to a riot? So police brutality led to the protest for George Floyd. Police brutality led to the riots. So when people were peacefully protesting, they were shot with rubber bullets to defend themselves and their peers, or let's say fellow protesters. They resorted to violence as well. So I'm not really talking about looting at all, because we're not talking about looting. Like, there's really no evidence to prove whether or not Martin Luther King Jr. or Malcolm X would have supported the looting. The looting is kind of another layer of the protest, and I wouldn't necessarily, they're just not the same thing. Like, people that are peacefully protesting are not the people that are looting. And a lot of the people that are looting are actually white. And they're just taking advantage of the movement so that they can profit from it with free gear. As you see, they're robbing clothing stores, sneaker shops, gaming stores, like all things that are easy to resell. They're not just taking stuff for themselves that they need. They're taking things so that they can resell them. So I'm not really talking about the looting at all, just so that you're not confused by that. I'm talking about riots. So if you see like pictures of people who have, Colby, don't say that. If you've seen pictures of people being shot with rubber bullets and like their whole eye is like completely closed shut and they've lost vision. Some people have like lost big chunks out of their forehead because police officers are shooting rubber bullets at protesters at really close range. So rioting kind of is when people fight back, when the police officers are riots are when people fight back, when police officers are basically how do I explain this? Like abusing their power. So I think that based on the quotes that I have from Martin Luther King Jr., that he still would not fight back with his hands. He would just continue to speak positivity with his words. He would understand, MLK Jr. would understand the rioters. He would sympathize with the rioters. But he would not riot or ask his followers to riot. Where on the other hand, Malcolm X would believe that you need to defend yourself from danger. The police officers are putting you in danger, so you can fight back. So both of those things would be claims for your different paragraphs on Martin Luther King Jr., or if you want to put it all together, that's fine, however you organize the CER. Basically, one would understand, Martin Luther King Jr. would understand why people are rioting, but would not ask people to riot or expect people to riot. Whereas Malcolm X would say you need to defend yourself. You can't just allow police officers to act this way. We need to use, by any means necessary, just defend ourselves, self-defense, where Martin Luther King Jr. would continue to peacefully protest while police officers were doing this, speak out against it, expose it, work with other white protesters to get the message out. And that's kind of the major difference between the 1960s and today is social media. So, major difference is being able to expose the wrongs in a fast way. Okay, so like I said, I have a chart that I'm going to share out with you guys that will help you write your CER. I've kind of given you the foundation of what you need to, what platform each person would take on riots today. And I'm going to be giving you some evidence that's sorted out for you in a chart so that you can write this paragraph. I don't believe so. Is everyone good with this paragraph? Thumbs up if you're ready for me to disconnect them live. And then you can text me on Remind if you're still having trouble with this topic. But I'm going to be sending out a picture of evidence to support the claims so that you can write the paragraph. Everyone good? I just need a couple thumbs up before I log off. Ivana, are you good? Majida, Kobe, D'Amico, Lamaya. Thank you, Majida. Thank you, D'Amico. I get one more person. So be looking on your Reminds for the photo of the evidence so that you guys can start writing. It says that it's due today, but it's just, you should have looked at the information by today so that you could have a conversation with me on this live. It's not due until next week this time, so you should be, giving yourself a week to write the CER, and then I'll announce a winner next Friday. Okay, so best CER gets a prize next Friday. Okay, so I'm going to end this stream and I'll be sending out that picture right away. Thank you.